Yeah, Erin Ward. I'm in the Norfolk, Virginia area. Most people are familiar more often with the Virginia Beach area, which is just adjacent, about 15 minutes down the road from me. But we make up a whole group of what we call the seven cities. So it's like Hampton, Virginia, Newport News, Virginia. We cover all the way up to almost Richmond, Virginia, and then all the way down into far reaches of Virginia Beach as well. And then we have some of our agent partners are in the North Carolina market, the Outer Banks, right? So a vacation market there. I'm not originally from this market. This is one of the largest contentions of active duty military in the United States. We have 13 military bases in every branch of service. So that's actually how I ended up here. I have over 20, well, actually, to be honest with you, this year is 30 years of military spouse experience. So, yeah, I keep saying 23 years, and then I realize, wait a minute, I lost like 7 years in there. So I really have to roll it up now. Yeah, but 30 years of military spouse experience. So that's how I ended up here and kind of how I ended up in real estate, actually. So,
Well, I love that story, and I want to probably move in a slightly different direction than we normally do because I think of the military service, and I want to give thanks to all of those for their service, and more importantly, I want to reach out and thank the spouses and your spouse in particular because one, I've been following you ever since we met, which feels like 2 years ago, but I can't remember because I've slept since then. But I think that we don't always give enough praise and thanks to those, our partners. And
mhm.
yes, military, but I think Justin, is that your husband?
Yep, Justin. Yep,
Right. And I know on the journey that you've been on that he deserves a lot. And
he
I
does.
think that when I look at my friends here that have been able to join us, I'd say that Jocelyn deserves credit, and Vicky, and Marianne, and Allison. These are all spouses of friends who are either on here or that work tirelessly behind the scenes and support. And so, praises to those loving support and spouses. And before we dig into, authenticity. And I hope that it's okay if we simply talk for a minute or two about this whole journey that you've been on. And I don't know how long that journey has taken place. And really, I'm talking about the whole weight loss thing that you've chronicled.
Sure. Yep.
And I think that, so tell us briefly about it, and more importantly, what has Erin learned through that whole process? Because
Yep.
again, I don't know if I knew that Erin, but I will tell you that if I knew her and knowing you like I do, uh, I'm going to see so many similarities because one, I think you're a beautiful spirit, and I know you have a caring and nurturing heart, and that I love. I don't think that would have changed, but clearly there's been some changes. So talk to me briefly about that.
Yeah, so I mean, my health journey really started about 31 years ago. So I was very, very, very young mother. I was 16, and so that kind of shook up my body a little bit, right? And when you go into motherhood that young, and I got married very young, I was 17 when I became a military spouse, and immediately moved overseas. So that's a wild story in itself to be that young with babies, and so it kind of went into I hate to say fight or flight mode. Right. But it was all about survival at that point because I just really didn't have the skill set, frankly, at that young age to get going. So everything took a back seat, health wise, me wise, taking care of me, prioritizing me, from a health standpoint. And I think that whether you're a young mother or a parent or anybody, something in your life can easily make it so those things take a back seat. And for me, I had some, off and on here and there, I would have short spurts of like really, if I'm being honest, like 6 to 8 months where I would start taking care of myself. And then it would just fall to the wayside because, especially with military life, we would have some event that was pretty monumental that would, impact my life, whether it would be moving. We moved 19 times as a military family. or if it was a deployment. I've been remarried. My ex-husband at the time was in a very high tempo deployment situation, so he was gone frequently. And so, those kind of things just make consistency and diligence and really taking care of yourself difficult. And so I got to the point of being like 35 years old, and I was like, okay, let me get serious about this. I had just gone through a divorce. And so I was like, it's time to prioritize my health. And so that was about 15 years ago. Not 15, excuse me. Whoa, I aged myself. About 12 years ago. And so I was getting in health shape again. I met my husband. I'm remarried to Justin, who's just about the most amazing partner. I can't even imagine my life without him. And he was getting in shape, similar story. And then we kind of both slid off together. And that's about the time I got into real estate. And I think probably a lot of us on this call can relate to being in the car, not being well organized, not being prepped. And what do? You slide through the drive-through in between, on your way to the next appointment because you got the next listing appointment, or I don't know, you're going to go stand outside with 30 other families in the height of the COVID market outside of, the newest listing that got there. And, you're running to the next house to beat the crowd. And, everything was just chaos. There was no taking care of myself. And in 2023, I got really sick out of nowhere, just one morning, just really sick. And I said, oh, this is weird. I have a high pain tolerance. I don't get sick a whole lot. I said, I think I need to go to the hospital. I told my husband I was going to drive myself to the hospital, which he was like, don't worry, I'll take you. And they couldn't figure out why I was getting sick, but they did let me know I had a giant kidney stone that was three-quarters of my left kidney. And so that kind of started my health journey. So from that was August of 2023. There's a lot of complications and situations that can come with that. So in 2024, I had eight kidney surgeries, some more extensive than others. We had a lot of complications. We had hematomas inside the kidney, they collapsed the lung, you name it, right? But I'm one of those people who, I was actually doing buyer consultations with the nurses in the hospital. So that just to tell you guys a little bit about me. But I mean, it really kicked off my journey. And at that point, I weighed 130 pounds more than I do now. So when all that started, and so that was kind of the wake up call to say, whoa, you got to get it together, and you really got to knock it off. Because life is short, and I wanted to have more energy to be able to, knowing what was coming with the market, it wasn't going to stay the way it was going to be. I knew I was going to have to work hard, and I wanted to show up more for my team. And so in my family and my friends and all my loved ones. And so, yeah, I got serious about it, started my weight loss journey, really got healthy around what I eat, and really focused a lot in on diet and exercise more than anything. So huge journey. And then, yep, I just recently had to go through a whole plastic surgery journey because of, not taking care of myself for so long. So that was about 3 weeks ago. So we're still rocking and rolling right now.
That's powerful. I knew that it was because I've been able to see some of that. So I really appreciate you sharing that. And I think if I didn't lose you again, this computer might uh, it what it shows and demonstrates is that we're all going through something. You just don't know,
Yeah.
right? And I think that's the reason why today it's so important. I think in the climate that we find ourselves in, we've got to reach out. We've got to be kind. I mean, it costs us nothing to smile. It costs us nothing to be friendly, to reach out and support each other. I was fortunate. I created a class yesterday. I was able to teach in a market center, and I talked about just collaboration because we had probably four or five different real estate companies that were not part of our Keller Williams family, but they're part of our family. And I'm so sick and tired of um, what appears to be the fight between, KW and EXP or Real and Ebby Halliday and Remax. And I'm sitting here going, let's stop the silliness. Let's
Yeah.
stop that, right?
Yeah.
And let's all work together
Yeah.
and collaborate and make this world a much better place. And I know it sounds hairy-fairy, but sometimes that's who I am because I am glass full, not half full. I'm full all day
I
long.
love it because I mean, think about this. Not only is it good for, let's collaborate, but what you're describing and something we love to do, we do a quarterly mastermind here that's broker agnostic as well, the same thing. And one of the things I shared very similarly to the one we did last month was I do this for the good of the industry. And when we better the industry, we better the people we serve, right? And that's the vendors that we work with, the co-brokes that we're serving with, the clients that we work with. Every time we come together and collaborate with that community thought process, how much better the industry gets. And let's be real. Real estate is an industry where people transition. They move. That's just the way it is. You don't just cut people off, and who cares at the end of the day? What we're looking for is good people in this industry that want to continue to do what you're doing, Ben.
Amen. Amen. So thank you for that. So two things real quick. HRVA, what does that stand for?
Yeah, so our geographical area, because it's made up of so many different cities, all those military bases, it is Hampton Roads, Virginia. Yep,
Ah,
yep.
okay.
So, and if you don't know this, the military likes their acronyms. So we had to throw in an acronym there. So,
Okay. Okay. I love it. All
couldn't
right.
let that go. My husband is a Navy submariner, so
Okay.
we don't let that go.
Okay. All right. And then finally this. I need to know, I mean, you've got a small but mighty team.
Yeah,
Describe the team briefly. So
sure. Yeah, about 10 years ago, or actually 9 years ago, this will be my 10th year in the business. 9 years ago, I was a dual career agent and I had 14 transactions closing in December, which as a solo agent is quite ridiculous in the month of December. And I remember being like, because you only have like half a month, really. Like, let's be real. You get like half a month to get it all done. And so I remember being in my team leader's office, just like kind of in a huddle, like curled up in a ball, going, what am I going to do? And she said, girl, you've got the experience, go start a team. Like, like let's get out there and do that. So we started the team. Sam Cook was my very first agent. Sam is still sitting in the next room today. That was 9 years ago. He joined me within a couple of weeks of that happening. We brought on another agent, Tom. He's still with me today. And then we have two more agents. So we're four agents plus me is five deep, and we do about 160 transactions a year. Between the four or five of us. I'm still in production. I can't imagine a world where I'll leave production. My production goes more to them now than it does to me. So I do about 40 to 50 a year myself personally. But I want to move more to them. But I always want to keep my foot in the game.
amen. I
I can
know.
help lead them properly. I feel like if I take myself out of it fully, I won't understand what they're going through or hear the objection handling. So yeah, we're a small but mighty team. We have a Keller Williams Indy mega agent office in the area. So we're actually separate from our market center, who we have a great market center. They're awesome support, but we are in a separate location because Keller Williams did not actually have a physical presence in our city in Norfolk. So we wanted to be that presence. So it is made up of our team, and then we have a couple of independent KW agents that also work out of here as well. But we have a really cool office, so it's a lot of fun. We enjoy it. So culture is the biggest thing for us, to be honest with you. And I think that's one of the things that we've held our team together for so long.
Well, and I think it's the reason why our office is so um, not just productive as far as units and volume and all that. I think just synergy and again,
Yeah.
I'm going to harken back to just support and loving on each other because the culture is so it's vital. I think for our
Yeah.
success, period. It just
Yeah.
is. So,
100%. I agree with that. I mean, I think they go hand in hand, right?
right.
And so when people want to come to the office, and I think that is a huge thing to get into the office, but you have to get into an office around people that are also being productive, that live in that culture of what we call a culture of productivity,
Yeah,
right? Like people who want to sell real estate, maybe we hang out and have some fun a little bit. We do call this the clubhouse, but the fun we're having is also around being productive, right? Like, what are we doing to move the needle forward? And when you can surround yourself with that environment, you will, by default, be more productive.
absolutely. And I can tell you one thing because I've owned between Realty Executives, franchises, and here at Keller Williams, I think it's four offices that I've co-owned. And I know when we're having fun and being productive, drama is
Yeah.
minimal. When
Yes.
when nobody's doing anything, man, life sucks.
You give
Drama.
them too much time.
That's
Yep.
right.
Yep.
That's right.
Yeah. It's like kids, don't give them too much time,
That's
right?
right. That's right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
beautiful. Well, you know what? Now let's chat about what you spoke about, I think, this morning. And was that authenticity, or again, I'm just going to let you
Yeah.
go forth.
One of the journeys along with the health side that I've been on in the last, 10 years or so, as a military spouse, I've had every job under the sun. I have a girlfriend who teases, she's like, she calls it the many lives of Erin, right? If you name an industry, I probably worked in it, right? So I worked for the Department of Defense for years. I've worked in liquor distribution in Europe. I was a morning radio show host for about 2.5 years. I worked in insurance. I was actually the director of first impressions for a new office here that was just opening for about 8 months. Obviously, I've been in real estate, I've waited tables, I've been a bartender, you name it, I've probably done it. So, all kinds of stuff. And one of the things I kind of realized as I was getting older and I was coming into a new era of my life was maybe I wasn't living authentically me, right? And I had these personas up that I thought people in those industries may want to see or would make me more effective. And I realized I think it was the opposite at the end of the day. Although I was very successful, my success was limited because I wasn't being authentic to who I am. And as I got into real estate, although I've had, many wonderful experiences in real estate, in any industry, there are those people and some of those folks that you can be around. And I think real estate sometimes we exasperate it a little bit where there's a lack of authenticity there, right? Where maybe it's a little more of a ego, and less of an authentic person. And so I kind of realized, well, I guess maybe more like 5 or 6 years ago that I didn't want to go down that route as my business grew. And I think definitely as your business grows and you find success, and goodness gracious, if you get that number one agent title at any point, right? Like it could easily go to your head. And I will be honest with you, that first time that happened for me, I was like, oh, look at me. I'm the best there ever is. Hey, that was then, and that's fleeting. And so that was the immediate like check for me to say, Erin, you've got to learn some authenticity. You have to slow down and know that number one doesn't mean a whole lot, at the end of the day. At the end of the day, if you are being authentically you, your number one doesn't even matter. You're going to do so much more and so many bigger things. And when I tapped into what I wanted authentically, which is, to help people live a life without limits at the end of the day, anybody I'm surrounded with, and build a world big enough for that, for all those people, then there's no end to what I can accomplish, right? And I felt like by being more authentically me, other people would be allowed to be authentically them too around me. And so I do believe in healthy ego, right? I think there is a very healthy ego that everybody should have, right? You should be proud of yourself. You should celebrate your successes. You should share that because people need to hear that. But I think that it's a balancing act, and I still have to find it every day. And I think the authentic side, when I noticed when I started putting that out, I attracted more people that I wanted to spend time with, including clients, agents that I wanted to build my world around, friends that I wanted to be around. And it changed my world.
Indeed. I think, again, the last 10 seconds you just hit such a vital point of this conversation. It's because we've got some new agents on this call, and I think that when you're just, you don't put on airs, you're just you. You then attract your tribe,
Yeah.
right? They're attracted to your vibe, your energy, and those are the folks that we like hanging with, having fun with, doing life with, helping them on their wealth journeys, helping them buy and sell real estate, and it makes it fun. I was just talking to an accountability partner, and with so many people I get a chance to talk, business with, 2025, I think, has been so challenging in that every deal has hair on it, is what
Yeah.
I say. Every deal.
Yeah.
And you can't even relax until you've signed the last documents at the closing table, and you're like, "Phew," right? And then you've got another struggle. And I think that when we're really working more with our avatar, and I hate that word, I just do, but
Yeah.
but when we're working with our people, I think sometimes it can make the transaction smoother, and less difficult. And yet they're still difficult. It is what it is. But
Yeah.
again, just be you, right?
Yeah.
And I think this also harkens back to the imposter syndrome that so many folks are going through.
Yeah.
Um, One of my best friends, I mean, for years, she's just lived under this mask, right? And it wasn't reality. Her reality was life was shit, to be honest, right?
Yep.
And her family life was crap. It was what it was. And so now she's gotten from under that, and now she's just authentically her, and life is so much better. She can't even, when she looks back, and Gary has mentioned this, and we didn't need Gary Keller to say this, but I mean, in 5 years,
Yeah.
where you can be, right?
Yeah.
You underestimate and overestimate those things. And so I'm so appreciative of the journey that you've been on, and we're still on that journey,
Yeah.
right? But
Yeah.
I know that in that Hampton area, you're the kind of leader that, one, we need. And two, I think that I'd love to work with you, beside you, because it'd be fun and we would kick some tail. So,
Yeah, 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 absolutely. No, I mean, I think you're hitting the nail on the head. And when you mention the imposter syndrome, I mean, I had a ton of that, I mean, I think I came into real estate at a time where it was very easy to move very quickly, right? But I could see the writing on the wall to say, okay, well, hang on, because this can't be forever. Gary told us it's not going to be forever. Don't kid yourself. And at the same time, I moved very, very fast into rooms of people that had been real estate agents, for 20, 30 years, those kind of things. And I thought, what am I doing in here? I actually snuck into a room at a family reunion to get into one of those rooms. And I still had imposter syndrome. Don't tell anybody. I did
yes.
get busted, by the way. But, but the imposter syndrome still to this day is very real. I go into some of these groups and these meetings and these things, and I'm like, my phone will ring and I go, oh my gosh, who is that calling? And it's like, why would they call me? What would I have to offer? But that's where I have to remind myself, when I can remove the mask, as you mentioned, and I did wear a mask for a long time, very, similar situation where, things were really messy back here, but you wouldn't know that up here. And so I lost that authenticity. And so now, when you package the whole transformation up for me, I think that has a lot to do with it. But I think that also is what is still propelling in a difficult market that you mentioned, when every transaction is, like you said, has hair on it. And you're like, holy cow, because as soon as we get off of this, you know how many phone calls I have to return to calm people down after this. I got like, hey, listen, breathe. I know it's a GFCI outlet. We'll
Yeah.
we'll get it taken care of, right?
Yes.
The house isn't going to burn down. It's going to be okay. Those kind of conversations we had. They're going to blow up the deal over a GFCI outlet, all the time, or anti-tip device, or a loose toilet, name it. You have to, if you can remove the noise, the friction, the distractions of the inauthenticity
Mhm.
and become yourself and take a breath and get deep into it, everything in your life, in your world becomes not only easier, but better because of it. And
Mhm.
you just get to say, I don't have to worry about this because this is truly who I am and this is how I'll react in this environment. I know my values now, which I didn't know before. And that just makes everything so much easier and so much lovelier and more successful.
I love it. I love it. As our time grows short here, I want you to do one thing. I want you to look into the camera, and I want you to speak to a brand new agent who is newly licensed. Okay, because we have a room full of folks that are anywhere from they've been licensed for a week or a couple of months. Speak to that agent. give us something that you've learned throughout your journey that might help a brand new agent.
Yeah, I would say ignore the noise.
Okay.
There's so many distractions out there. There are so many people that are going to worry you about interest rates. They're going to worry you about the market being tough. They're going to worry you about low inventory. None of it matters. And none of it matters. Stay focused, lead with value, and you will be just fine. But ignore the noise, and everything else will fall into place.
Amen. I love that. Okay. Now, give us one thing that you and your team, I'd say, and I call it your velvet rope. What's one thing you guys are doing well in this current market?
Yeah, I think we convert like nobody else's business.
Okay.
And I think we do that so well because we do truly understand our value and we believe in our value, and our value proposition is very strong. So, because of that, it's very easy over the phone when somebody calls in or we get a referral, we can easily over the phone ensure that we have like basically ingratiated ourselves to that potential client so that they wouldn't even think about working with anybody else. Of course, they're going to work with the HRVA Homes team because we can lead with value. It doesn't feel salesy at that point. It feels very strong. And because we truly believe our value and we know our mission, it's everything else is easy.
I love that. And again, I think that's a message, regardless of whether you've done this for a month or 36 or 37 years. I think when you know your value, then I don't worry about being squeezed on commission and all that kind of stuff. I never have. And
Nope.
so people are a little surprised when they're like, they think that I have these challenges with, I've set a standard and my standard is different than most. And so I don't have those commission conversations. I just don't.
We
And
don't either. Yeah.
and it's crazy because maybe once a year with all the transactions that I do. And so I think that's because I know who I am and I know the value that I bring to the table. And most folks appreciate that. And that's why they want to work with HRVA and Ben Baker and Richie and Pop and Kahim. They want to work with those people because they know and Seth and his whole crew is there too. They know the value that you bring, and why in the world would they want to stress over freaking 1% here or there, right?
That's it. Yeah.
We pay for value because if
Yep.
not, we buy all of our clothes and all of our goods at Target.
Yep.
You're right, and we don't do that in most
Nope.
cases. So,
The same thing is true for our clients as it is for us, right? Money's only an issue in the absence of value. So if you're bringing
amen.
the value, money ain't an issue.
Amen. Sweetheart, I love you. You know what? You got 1 minute, 2 minutes. Is there anything else that, first of all, I should have asked you because, again, time moves so quick when we're
Yeah.
here. Is there something that you'd love to chat about briefly that I didn't bring up, or the grandbabies, or
Oh,
any?
yeah. Well, my grandbaby is perfect. She's absolutely
Well,
perfect. She's 9 months old, and I
all right.
that's our first one. Couldn't be happier. And now we get our first Christmas with her. So I have an entire bedroom full of toys. So
Yes.
that she probably won't play with it all. She'll use a remote control or something instead. So yeah.
She'll be playing with the box.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's
Exactly.
crazy.
Yeah.
That's how
Yeah.
kids are. It's like they get more fun out of the box than the actual item itself.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, I saw that, and I don't have one yet. My son's not even married, but he does have, I think, that special person. So I think in the next year or two, I'm going to be there.
Woo.
So I know.
Best thing that's ever happened to me. I have the greatest children and bonus children on the planet, five of them. But I will tell you, they're all out now. It's all about her.
It's,
That's it.
I,
They don't count anymore. They're lucky if they get anything for Christmas at this point. They're all grown adults anyway, so like they don't really need a whole lot. They got jobs, they can figure it out. But the baby, that's
baby.
all. That's all.
Well, I love you, and I can't wait to see you. I hope that it's either at another mastermind
Mhm.
or a family reunion or something because I got a massive hug coming
I
for
can't wait.
I
I
know.
can't wait. Love you so much right back. Thank you guys for having me on today. This was fun.